My name's Iannarino, and if you don't know me, I'm a person that does a lot of writing, a lot of videos, a lot of content. Thank you for sharing your time with me. I appreciate it, and I want to tell you a story. When I published Eat Their Lunch, Winning Customers Away from Your Competition, a number of readers reached out to me to say, why would you only say good things about your competitors instead of thrashing them? I tried to explain this to people, but they had a very difficult time with this. They started to believe that if I said something nice about my competitor, then the client would think that I was saying that that competitor is worth their time. Well, there's a way to get out of that, and I will give you that at the end of this. What happened is I started to explain that I lived in a world where there's a displacement sale, which means I have to remove you and take your client from you. That's what I had to do starting when I was 18 years old. And it's not the easiest thing to do. And I was selling enterprise level when I was 18, which was very, very difficult. So one of the things that happened to me is every time I walked into a big company, they would say, tell us how your model is different than your competitors. I'm stumped. I have no idea what they do. I only knew about one other company that I worked at as a staffing company, and I knew their model, but I didn't really have a good way to answer that. It took me time and a lot of questioning of other people to understand the models. That conversation that I had many, many times convinced me that this model thing was really important to business people. They want to know what's your business model, and if you're hanging around with people in business, they'll always talk about models. That'll be the first thing that they ask you, like, tell me what your model's like. The reason I don't say anything negative about a competitor is because your status goes down, and as your status goes down, you have a lower chance of winning the deal. If you look like you're afraid of your competitor, if you look like you're trying to get rid of them, if you are sour grapes and you're saying something negative about them, your status just keeps falling and falling and falling. So instead of that, here's what you should do. You don't want to feel like you're inferior, and you don't want to sound like you're inferior, and you don't want to project that. What you do instead is you decide to do something that we call triangulation. Now, you probably don't know what triangulation strategy is. I'm going to say something very nice, like we know these people. We see each other at the conferences. Some people that used to work for us work for them. Some of their people now work with us. Everybody knows everybody. The only thing that we ever argue about is the model. Once you understand that the model is something that business people already care about, you can start to triangulate. Instead of saying anything negative, I say something positive, and then I say the only thing that we disagree on is the model. Our model, we believe, is the right model. We think their model is not as good, and here's why. To do something like triangulation, you'll have to do a little studying. What you have to do is you have to say something really nice about your competitor. They're a really good company. They have the lowest price. There's nobody that's lower priced than they are. Now that sounds like it's really nice until I say, but there are a half a dozen concessions that you're going to have to make. You'll probably need more people helping with customer service. You probably won't always get the things that you need when you need them, but if the lowest price is the right thing for you, then they're going to be great for you. And now I'm going to do that with the next model. And the next model is a scaled up low price. So let's say something like Granger or something like that. Really good, scaled up. Still, sometimes they don't have what you need, and you might have people waiting for something to show up for days, and it might not be good for you. Then after that, I'm going to talk about the good enough. Most of us are good enough, so I'm going to say this is what's good about this competitor, but with that, you're not going to get the strategic outcomes. You're going to get the execution probably that you need, but it's not going to give you what you could have if you did something different. Now, I'm going to do at the end, I'm going to say, you're going to find that our price is about 11 or 12% higher than any of the other models that I shared with you. But for those 12 pennies that you're giving me, I'm going to make sure that you have none of these concessions. So instead of saying something negative about the client, I say there's negative things about them and there's positive things about them. What I'm doing is triangulating them. So I'm now above the playing field. I'm not a participant anymore. I'm sitting down with my client, objectively explaining the models. And as I do that, they feel like I'm understanding what the upside and downside are on all of these models. And once they do that, they're going to look at you and think, this is the best salesperson that I've talked to. They understand these models. They help me understand what I need to do. And you will have a tremendous competitive advantage if you do something like this. If I was your sales manager, I would tell you not to say anything negative about a competitor, but I would encourage you to say something about their model that would allow you to remove them from consideration. If you can do that about 3 or 4 times in a conversation, you're probably going to win that deal. You can go out to thesalesblog.com. You will find this. You'll be able to read this, and you can study it as you go do this. Send me a note and let me know how you're doing. Anthony Iannarino, I'm out. Have a good day.